Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. The Trans-Saharan gas pipeline is once again at the center of Africa's energy and development agenda. After years of planning and negotiations, Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria have taken a decisive step forward. The three countries have adopted the final feasibility study for the project, while Algeria has announced the launch of construction work on its section of the pipeline. The latest developments come amid growing cooperation between Algeria and Niger, highlighted by the inauguration of the Algeria and Niger Solidarity Power Plant in Niamey and a series of initiatives aimed at strengthening energy, infrastructure, transport, but also strengthen economic ties. When completed, the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline would connect Nigeria's vast natural gas reserves, the biggest in the African continent, to Algeria's export network and onward to international markets, creating one of the largest energy corridors on the African continent. Experts see the project as a potential game changer for regional integration, energy security, and also economic development. So are finally witnessing the beginning of a project that has been discussed for decades, and what it could mean for the future of Africa's energy landscape. We have to discuss this question just after the jingle. And to help us have more insights about these projects, I'm joined by senior energy expert and a journalist specializing in North African affairs. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Shuaib Boutamin. He's a senior expert. He's here with us in our studio. Thank you for accepting our invite.
Yeah. Money.
So we will also be joined later on by Mr. Arzki Dawood, his principal analyst at the MEA Risk LLC from Miami. So let us begin with you, Mr. Boutamin. After years of discussions about this project, the adoption of the final feasibility study is seen as a turning point for this Trans-Saharan gas pipeline project. For an energy perspective, how significant is this milestone for Algeria, for Niger, for Nigeria, but also for the African energy market?
Yeah, good evening. This is really a promising project for the African continent. Mm-hmm. So the project we have been discussing for a long time, for decades, about this project. And I have to highlight something very important. This project's length is more than 4,130 kilometers. It's supposed to transport about 30 BCM, billion cubic millions of natural gas from Nigeria, Niger, Algeria to the countries of the European Union. What's significant in this project, that Algeria has a very strong infrastructure available from the south of Algeria to the north, and which are really connected to European Union. We have Transmed connected to Italy with the pipeline with a capacity of 35 BCM, and we have the second pipeline which is connected to Spain and capacity of 10.5 BCM. This project will really add great value to the countries of Nigeria, Niger, and Algeria. What's good in this project, that Nigeria at the moment is exporting most of its natural gas through LNG, liquefied natural gas. A small part of its gas is exported through pipeline, through Benin. Now, this project will be like a diversification key for Nigeria to find another alternative to export its natural gas through pipelines. Why we talk about pipelines at the moment? You know that if we go to 2022, before the war in Ukraine, the LNG in European Union was representing only 20%. The share of LNG now increased to 45% in European Union. But this is the big challenge the Europeans are facing today, is instability of supplies and a very high cost. Today, TSGP is a very, very promising project for the European Union, because when we transport natural gas through pipelines, it's a medium or long-term contract. If we talk medium or long-term terms, it means that we have a low cost. And this is what European companies and firms are looking for at the moment. So if we talk about this project, I want to highlight the outcomes of the meeting. Took place today in Algiers, two main outcomes, two main decisions have been taken. The first one is the feasibility, approving the feasibility, the project feasibility study, signed by three energy ministers of Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria. This is the first point. And the second point is that Algeria decided to build its pipeline side, from the borders, to connect it to Hasserman. Why it's important for Algeria to build this pipeline in its lands at the moment? Because we have discovered, we have a potential of natural gas discoveries in the region of Ahnet, in the extreme south of Algeria. So passing this pipe through this region will allow Algeria to connect all the fields going beside this pipeline. And this project will be like a train. It's like a train of molecules.
It's like a chain which links.
Exactly. Which start from Nigeria, will collect, it's like a collector also, to collect molecules of natural gas from Nigeria to Niger and to Algeria, and bring them to the north of Algeria. When these volumes will arrive to Algeria, we have two options. To export them through pipelines, even they have limited capacity, but Algeria have a strong infrastructure of LNG vessels, so we can export these natural
and maybe
gas
the LNG capacities of Algeria were strengthened the latest months, especially after the war in the Middle East. Now I have Mr. Rizqi Dawood, who's joining us from Miami. Thank you, Mr. Dawood, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Yassine, and greetings to you, to your guests, and to your viewers as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. We have seen not only the approval of the feasibility study, but also a series of high-level meetings involving the presidents and energy ministers of Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria. So does this suggest that the project has now become a genuine strategic priority for these three countries? And what political message are they sending to investors and also international partners in Africa, in Europe, and beyond?
Well, I think your guest suggested, rightly so, this is strategic development for Algeria and for the region as well. That changes quite a bit the dynamics of the global energy market. It's extremely important for Algeria. Remember that Algeria right now, in talking about this, is signaling that it is serious to move forward with this project. In fact, as your guest said rightly so, a great deal of investments have already been put in place. Question now is, what are Niger and Nigeria signaling? Well, Niger is definitely on board. And the passage of the pipeline through Niger will turn Niger into a Sahelian energy power, and that's very important. Question remains on the Nigeria side, and Nigeria has substantially more investments to be made. Algeria has quite a bit of it done already, and what it needs to be done now is basically the integration part of it, investing in boosters and so on and so forth. But Nigeria is the one where, of course, they're taking a little time. The concern that I have specific to Nigeria is quite often projects there tend to be delayed, but there is definitely political signal. And we'll see where the will goes.
Yes, indeed. And actually, the Nigeria's foreign minister was here in Algiers during the ministerial meeting, and also he met with the Algerian Minister of Energy and Hydrocarbons, and also he expressed Nigeria's readiness and full commitment to actually strengthen and fulfill this project. So I go back to you, Mr. Boutoumine, about the feasibility of the project. The project moves ahead as planned. So if it does, what would it mean for each of these three countries? You have mentioned that for Nigeria's part, it has a big potential of LNG, which means it exports most of its gas via the liquefied natural gas. And it wants, of course, to strengthen its exports via a pipeline to Europe, to the EU, which is a very big market for gas. So how would Nigeria benefit from exporting its vast gas reserves, and what role does Algeria's existing infrastructure? You have mentioned that Algeria has a big and a long, in history, it's a long infrastructure. What can it play, and what opportunities could this project offer also for Niger?
Yeah, exactly. Before we talk about Nigeria, we have to ask a question. Why Nigeria and Niger are pushing this project to pass through Algeria and not another country? Because Algeria has a history, has an expertise in the energy. We are extracting natural gas and oil for many decades. This is a history we have to bear in mind. There is no country in the region can compete Algeria. That's why these countries are pushing for this project to pass through Algeria. We have a strong infrastructure of natural gas. You know what? When an investor comes to a country, the first question we'll ask, especially for the African countries, he will ask if you have an existing infrastructure. If you don't have an infrastructure, it will be useless. If you find oil or you find natural gas in a reservoir in any oil field, and you find a long distance of thousands of kilometers to transport it, and you don't have it. Algeria has this option. Algeria has the security, has a secured land. Algeria has infrastructure. And Algeria today is supporting Niger, building electricity power plants. And this is the expertise, and this is the Algerian model that African countries can use, can really take into account in the future. That's why Nigeria and Niger are pushing for this project, because this project will not connect only, we will not compress molecules of natural gas. We are connecting societies. We are connecting the economies of these countries. You know, when you discover oil or natural gas very close to this pipeline, you can connect them in any spot of these countries. You are creating thousands of jobs. You are creating stability in the region. And this is what the Africans need at the moment.
Yes, you have mentioned infrastructure and some attempts maybe to deviate the project, and it was so many times, even with the cooperation with the EU, some partners, some economic partners in Europe, but the European Union or the partners in the European Union were convinced maybe that this project was meant to be for Algeria because of its infrastructure, big infrastructure and very solid one. So, and also Europe continues to seek diversified and reliable energy supplies. So do you think that the European Union finds, other than Algeria, a very reliable source of energy, especially regarding gas?
Answering to your question, you have to go back 3-4 years ago, when the war started in Ukraine and Russia, between Ukraine and Russia. Many European leaders came to Algeria asking for natural gas. The same example happened last February, when the Middle East, when you had a problem in the Middle East on the Strait of Hormuz. Qatar was supplying more than 15 BCM of natural gas to the European Union. Those volumes are over. There's no zero quantities supplied to the European Union today. European leaders came again to Algeria. They visited Algeria asking for more cooperation, to deepen and strengthen cooperation with Algeria. Why? Because we have a stability of supplies. If you are an investor, if you have a company, a petrochemistry company in the European Union, what you ask for stability of supplies. I can give you natural gas now, but 5 times more expensive. That will not help your company to progress. So that's why, if we talk about the European Union, why they are connecting with Algeria, because we have a stability of supplies and we have a contract. You have a medium and long contract of natural gas. So when you have a stability, the investors will come back to you and will ask for more. That's why this project will not supply only natural gas, but it will strengthen the role of Algeria, the pivotal role of Algeria in the region as a major supplier of natural gas
So as you
and
had,
energy.
you can say it could have never been hosted by another country in the region apart from Algeria. So I go back to you, Mr. Dawood. Beyond the energy dimension, could this pipeline become the backbone of a broader regional partnership? We are looking at a potential new framework for economic integration, for trade, for transport, and for development for all the region, and not only for these three countries.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be the backbone of a regional industrial integration, right? This is something that's going to bring products that are extracted from, from the Niger Delta down in Nigeria, all the way to Italian and Spanish and European consumers, and that's going to your guests' views. That's going to create all sorts of needs for integrated economic boosts, and that's going to help, certainly, of course, the three countries that are party to this agreement, to this deal, but all over the map. I mean, I think everybody will be a winner in this. From, of course, a number of African countries, this is going to stimulate, similar deals in sub-Saharan Africa. And this is going to stimulate, of course, a lot of interest from European investors, particularly in this case, particularly Southern Europeans, the Spaniards and the Italians. And that plays an extremely important role. Now, one point that I'd like to make, this puts Sonatrach in a different ballgame. Sonatrach now is going to move, Algeria is going to move from basically a producer to a producer plus, and this plus is infrastructure owner. Sometimes the people that actually make money are not the people that produce the goods, they're the people that actually own the infrastructure. And that is an excellent position to be for Sonatrach. The challenges are enormous, but the opportunities are equally enormous, particularly as we see the global geopolitics currently having substantial effects, not only on Qatar and the Gulf, but also on Russia and elsewhere. And so Algeria is in an excellent position. Its competitors today, potential big competitors in the European market, are the Norwegians and the Americans. The Americans are probably well positioned to take a good market share, but in the long run, they don't move products and assets through pipelines. It's mostly through boats, LNGs, cargoes, and that is extremely expensive, a lot more expensive. Moving gas from Wari via Niger to Algeria to Europe is a very excellent economic initiative.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Botomin, and to keep on what Mr. Dawood was saying about the potential, Africa possesses enormous natural resources, a young population, growing markets, yet intra-African trade remains relatively limited. Could infrastructure projects like this one, like the Trans-Saharan pipeline, help change the reality in the region and beyond in Africa by encouraging African countries to trade more with each other, transform their own resources, and also reduce maybe dependence on imports from other countries beyond the African continent?
I think this is what the Africans need today. They need more energy, more cooperation. They need to share the expertise. Algeria can share this expertise. Okay? So talking about the African resources, just give you some numbers. Mm-hmm. You know the reserves of natural gas in Africa, how much? We have like 15 TCM, 15 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. United States has 17 TCM. It's almost the same. But you know how much United States is producing natural gas? It's producing 1.2 TCM, 1,200 BCM. You know how much Africa is producing? It's only 240. United States is producing almost 5 times the production of Africa. Even the reserves are almost the same. What we need in Africa, we need to strengthen partnership with these African countries. Algeria can contribute a lot to share, to run projects in Niger and Nigeria and all other countries in Africa. This is what we need today. We need to strengthen the synergy. We need to get more to build a new partnership. You know that the oil and gas industry today it needs technology. Many fields. If you don't own technology, or if you don't partner with some international firms, you cannot extract your natural resources. So Africans need technology, need more synergy, and need more cooperation. I think we have to strengthen this, and Algeria now is working on this axis. Algeria is working to the south. Few years ago, Algeria was working with the north. Algeria today is working on different azimuths, different directions. We work with the north, and we will work also with the south.
Emphasize on the south, and this is what we notice in the news headlines recently. So today, I'll go back to you, Mr. Dawood. Today, we also saw the inauguration of the Algeria-Niger Solidarity Power Plant in Niamey. Mr. Dawood, when we look at this project alongside the pipeline, the Trans-Saharan Pipeline or the Trans-Saharan Highway and other cooperation initiatives, also, we have the International Solidarity Agency founded by Algeria for its regional neighborliness. Are we witnessing the emergence of a deeper partnership that extends beyond traditional diplomacy toward long-term development and also regional integration?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know that there are continue to be some problems, of course, in the Sahel region. And I think this initiative, this gesture from the Algerian government vis-a-vis Niger is an effort to improve diplomatic relations, improve the neighborhood, and focus on what really matters most. And in this case, of course, economic development. Every region where this pipeline is going to pass is going to benefit from it. And yes, there is the need to ensure that Niger as a nation has the capacity to produce its own energy, has the capacity to invest. After all, I think the length of the pipeline crossing Niger is going to be about 800, 900 kilometers. It's probably one of the biggest in terms of unfinished business. In Algeria, it's mostly done. Nigeria has had an infrastructure that's been in place for a while. It needs to, of course, improve it and make it bigger to push gas northward. And that's where you get stalled, is really on the Niger side. That's about 850 kilometers worth of pipes. And in this case, of course, Niger will need every support it can get. Every support it can get. And Algeria is going to play a big role because it's the lead operator here. It's the main country that's engineering this project. And if it is where it is, if the signals that we're getting from Algiers is that essentially they probably have the backing of potential buyers in Europe. And those are very important because they will unlock financing from institutional investors, multinational investors like the African Development Bank and other banks. And so, everything is tied up. And of course, the cooperation element of it is critical because it unlocks financing, economic growth, social improvement, and security at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So one of the arguments often put forward by Algeria is that African countries should not simply export raw materials, but should also invest and create added value, industries, value chains, and also jobs with the continent itself. Could projects such as this one play the foundations for a more maybe integrated and self-sustaining African economy, according to you?
Yeah, talking about the petrochemistry and how to valorize African resources, Algeria by Sonatrach launched a program of investment of $60 billion from now to 2029, 2030. And part of this investment is going to valorizing natural resources of oil and gas, including building new facilities, new plants. Petrochemistry is a key for Algeria and for African countries. Mm-hmm. So in the first phase, I believe, discovering oil and natural gas in Niger, because let me highlight that Niger at the moment is producing about 100,000 barrels of oil and exporting big share of it to Benin, to another country. Mm-hmm. But Niger, I think, needs to build its petrochemistry infrastructure. And Algeria has the expertise on this. Algeria can cooperate with Nigerian oil company to build the petrochemistry plants so we can get that oil. Instead of exporting all of it, we can valorize it and we can create businesses there, and we can deepen this cooperation among with other African countries.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Shaib Boutamin. You were with us here in the studio of All 24 News. I also would like to thank Mr. Arzki Dawood, who joined us from Miami. Thank you for all your insights, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for keeping it here on All 24 News. See you tomorrow.